Okay. Lynn, Lakum, Phil, and here we go. Okay, we got another weekend. We're here. I'll tell you, it's been pretty crazy here in Canada, Lynn. U.S. is getting things under control, I would say, very swiftly. But here, wow, it has gone completely nuts. And the whole week has been, I'm telling you, like unbelievable. So the lying, the cheating, the stealing, it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. The Liberals are freaking out. I think they're losing. And I see Laocoon Carney paused his campaign. Yeah, again. I think this is the third time, isn't it? I guess him and Trudeau are pretty good at hiding when the heat gets on, right? So, oh, you're looking at ATVs, eh? Wow. So they'll be coming up for sale pretty quick, Phil. I would think people are going to be broke and going to have to sell their toys off. That's usually how that works. The toys go first. So, Sharp, Faye, Denny. Now, yeah, this week there's been a lot going on. And let's see here. There was, okay, Blacklock's reporter broke a story about that the Canadians will revolt when they find out how broke they are. Well, kudos to them for getting that out. They do a great job. But the RCMP put that out, actually, what was it, a few months ago. That was March 20th. Now, this one here is March 22nd. I'm going to bring this up on the screen so you can see what I'm looking at. So this came out on March 22nd. There's a secret RCMP report. This wasn't supposed to come out, actually. Warns Canadians may revolt once they realize how broke they are. Right from the get-go, the report authors warn that whatever Canada's current situation, it will probably deteriorate further in the next 5 years. And it's guaranteed if Carney goes in, because it's the same old Liberal cabinet. All the ministers are still there. And that's a scene there we remember quite well from the trucker convoy and the standoff and how Trudeau dealt with protesters, but he's not bothering the Free Palestine protesters in Ottawa. I see that's a massive gathering, but that's okay. Nothing to see here, folks, because they are aligned with the Liberal Party. They know the Liberal Party will probably side with them. As a matter of fact, Carney already has. A secret RCMP report is warning the federal government that Canada may descend into civil unrest once citizens realize the hopelessness of their economic situation. I guess that's why they added more guns to the list, eh? They got to get them all. The coming period of recession will, not may, will accelerate the decline in living standards that the younger generations have already witnessed compared to earlier generations, reads the report, entitled Whole of Government 5-Year Trends for Canada. For example, many Canadians under 35 are unlikely ever to be able to buy a place to live, it adds. The report, labeled Secret, is intended as a piece of special operational information to be distributed only within the RCMP and among decision makers in the federal government. A heavily redacted version was made public as a result of an access to information request filed by Matt Malone, an assistant professor of law at British Columbia's Thompson Rivers University and an expert in government secrecy. Describing itself In an introduction as a scanning exercise, the report is intended to highlight trends in both Canada and abroad that could have a significant effect on the Canadian government and the RCMP, who are part of the Canadian government, but they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be their own entity. But since Trudeau was in, they suddenly became part of the Canadian government, it seems. Not officially. Right from the get-go, the report authors warn that whatever Canada's current situation, it will probably deteriorate further in the next 5 years. In addition to worsening living standards, the RCMP also warns of a future increasingly defined by unpredictable weather and seasonal catastrophes, such as wildfires and flooding. Most notably, report authors warn of Canada's facing increasing pressure to cede Arctic territory. Another major theme of the report is that Canadians are set to become increasingly disillusioned with their government, which authors mostly chalk up to misinformation and conspiracy theories and paranoia. I don't agree with that statement. Conspiracy theories have already been proven to be true. And the paranoia, no, we're just pissed off. And misinformation, no, it's the truth. Law enforcement should expect continuing social and political polarization fueled by misinformation campaigns and an increasing mistrust for all democratic institutions, reads one of the report's overarching considerations. Well, yeah, we don't really trust the media, for one thing. We definitely don't trust the government, and, well, I can imagine how much trust people have in the RCMP. Ironically, among the report's more heavily redacted sections is one carrying the subtitle Erosion of Trust. The past 7 years have seen marked social and political polarization in the Western world, reads a partial first sentence, with the entire rest of this section deleted by government censors. Why can't you trust your government? Well, they censor everything. Why do they censor everything? Because they're untrustworthy. The censor's pen also deleted most of a section warning about paranoid populism. Capitalizing on the rise of political polarization and conspiracy theories have been populists willing to tailor their messages to appeal to extremist movements, reads the section's one non-redacted sentence. I guess if you're a conservative in Canada, you're an extremist. That's what I'm reading into that anyways. In terms of declining living standards and inaccessible home ownership, the RCMP's warnings are indeed in line with available statistics. Canadian productivity, measured in terms of GDP per capita, has been trending downwards since at least the 1980s, but this has accelerated dramatically in recent years, even as per-worker productivity rises in many of our peer countries. An analysis last year by University of Calgary economist Trevor Tome found that if Canada had merely kept pace with the U.S. productivity growth for the last 5 years, Canadian per capita earnings would be $5,500 higher than they are now. Meanwhile, housing affordability has reached worst ever levels in most of Canada's major markets, according to a December analysis by RBC. On average, even condos are now so unaffordable that only 44.5% of Canadian households had sufficient income to buy one at current prices. As for single-family homes, only the richest 25% of Canadian households had any hope of obtaining one. Economic forecasts for the next 5 years and beyond are bleak, reads the RCMP's assessment of the rest of the decade, even adding a quote from the French President Emmanuel Macron that the end of abundance is nigh. I would say that was all planned, part and parcel of the WEF, the UN. So I'd say their plans are working out pretty well. And yes, Canadians are upset, and they have every right to be. There's CBC's been playing their games. CBCs have been playing their games. And they, you might have caught this. They actually, it says the Liberals and Conservatives said their rallies drew thousands, and we decided to count. We're paying head counters now. CBC has hired head counters to look at pictures of the rallies and count heads to see if they can discredit or dispute the numbers that that the political parties are announcing. They say the political campaigns may be significantly off base when it comes to the number of people they say are present at campaign rallies across the country. A CBC News investigation shows. They got their investigators right on this. Both the Conservatives and Liberals have held major rallies since the beginning of the federal election, with the Conservatives in particular emphasizing the size of their events. Well, why not? They should be proud of the numbers. They're massive. And the Liberals should be ashamed of theirs, because they're not. CBC News' Visual Investigations Team, that's quite a title, hand-counted people in images taken at 4 rallies across the country. Conservative rallies in Surrey, BC and near Edmonton, and Liberal events in Toronto and Richmond, BC. So they took a picture and they took a count. And the pictures they took are facing the speaker, Pierre. And that is the smallest portion of the crowd. The crowd is behind the camera, but they didn't count those ones. The investigation, including expert analysis by crowd scientists. I didn't know there was such a thing as a crowd scientist. Maybe it's just a CBC thing. Shows that the actual number of people, just making a statement here, folks, the actual number of people attending those rallies was likely far lower than the counts the campaigns published on social media or reported to journalists at the events. The Conservatives claimed that the Edmonton area rally was attended by 15,000 people, for example. Get this, CBC News counted roughly 1,558 people. They counted 1,558. That's insane. The place was jammed. There were people lined up way down the road, and they were still coming in, and they were outside jammed up, and the majority of the people couldn't get in. But CBC seems to ignore that. So they're saying that even assuming that a large number of attendees were missed due to perspective or obstruction, 15,000 is not possible. Well, it is possible, CBC. That's according to G. Keith Still, an expert in crowd dynamics and safety who is a visiting professor of crowd science at the University of Suffolk. CBC News asked Still to analyze the events. His hand counts were similar to our team's for all 4 events. Still noted that hand counts carry a margin of error of 5%. Well, that's a lot bigger error than 5%, from 15,000 to 1,500. Now they show a Winnipeg NHL arena as 15,321. That's a lot of people. But the RCMP estimated 10 to 12,000. So not that far off. Similarly, the Liberals said their rally in Richmond had 2,000 people in the main room. CBC News count corroborated by Still puts the number closer to 800. The manual count, as with other rallies, was done by dividing the images into grids and tallying the heads visible. So, anyways, there's CBC going around counting heads and pictures. Oh, just to see if they can maybe change the narrative a little bit. So we've had, we have had, this just come out actually. The Liberals up to their dirty tricks. One of their dirty tricks, I don't know if you've caught this yet or not. And believe it or not, folks, this was on CBC. I got to show you this because you won't believe me. Check this out. Liberal operatives planted "Stop the Steal" buttons at Conservative conference. Conservatives accuse Liberals of attempting to bring American-style politics to Canada. It's not about accusing CBC. It's a CBC reporter that reported this. That just happened to be in a bar with the Liberals. And here it is. Here's what happened. 2 Liberal Party staffers attended last week's Canada Strong and Free Networking conference where they planted buttons that used Trump-style language and highlighted division within the Conservative Party. So you got "Stop the Steal" there because we're saying that those polls aren't right. Those polls just aren't happening. So they're not accurate. And then, so they put "Stop the Steal" on there, right? So they're making it sound like we're going to say that if the Conservative lose, that it was stolen. Well, maybe it was, but that's beside the point. And then Jenny Byrne, they crossed that out with Corey Taniki. Corey Taniki's a snake. He ran the campaign for Doug Ford, so he's not even a Conservative. So anyways, he's the guy that said, oh, the Conservatives blew the 25-point lead. Corey Taniki can go back in whatever hole he's been hiding out in. Anyways, I'll carry on here. The conference, often referred to by its former name, the Manning Conference, is an opportunity for conservative-leaning Canadians to talk about policy proposals and network. It was held at the Westin Hotel in downtown Ottawa. Some attendees noticed buttons appearing at the event. One said "Stop the Steal," an apparent reference to Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the result of the 2020 U.S. presidential election that he probably won. The Liberal Party of Canada has sought to tie Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre to the American president in speeches and ads. Some Conservative supporters have expressed skepticism about polling numbers that put the Liberals ahead. Another button had the name Jenny Byrne crossed out with the name Corey Taniki underneath. Byrne is the National Campaign Director for the Conservative Party of Canada. Taniki is a longtime Conservative strategist who played a key role in Ontario Premier Doug Ford's re-election campaign. He has been deeply critical of the Conservative Party of Canada's campaign to date. Doug Ford didn't need much help in that campaign because everybody hated the Liberals and the NDP, so he's automatically going back in, even though he's a Liberal. So Corey Taniki has got no bragging rights there. The buttons were scattered in the event space in a way to give the impression that they were made and left by people attending the conference. In fact, the idea came from the Liberal War Room. Buttons were planted by 2 staffers on Friday night in 2 Ottawa bars. Campaign workers shared how the party was behind this move. 2 Liberal Party staffers attended the conference intended for Conservatives and placed these buttons in areas where attendees would find them. At the pub Darcy McGee's near Parliament Hill, a number of Liberal War Room staffers met for drinks on the far side of the bar. You gotta love it when they get a few drinks into them, eh? The tongue started wagging. This journalist joined one of them for a quick conversation, but heard another staffer, who had previously identified himself as being involved in opposition research, describing how he and a colleague planted the buttons. Staffer knew he was sitting next to a journalist. When confronted, the staffer at first confirmed what he'd done, but he then denied saying anything when told that CBC News would be reporting on the operation. A Conservative source overheard the other conversation. The Liberal Party did not respond to a request for comment, but also did not deny their campaign's involvement. It's unfortunate, but not surprising that the Liberals would seek to misrepresent the views of attendees of our conference, said CSFN spokesperson Alex Spence in a statement. These divisive, gimmicky tactics say more about the Liberals than they do of the united and growing conservative movement. Sources told CBC News that people working on the Poilievre campaign were instructed not to attend the conference and instead be out door knocking. Despite the public claims, it is clear that the Liberals, who are attempting to bring American-style politics to our country, said Conservative Party of Canada spokesperson Sam Lilly in a statement, one wonders what other dirty tricks the Liberals are behind as they desperately seek to distract from the disastrous record while seeking a fourth Liberal term. Yeah. So they went and they actually had those buttons made up. They had this all well planned. The buttons are made up. They went out. They planted them. Then they went for drinks and bragged about it with a reporter there. Nobody ever said the Liberals were smart. Dirty? Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna ask some questions, a couple of questions here. And I would like to get you to take part in this because we're going to look at something after I get your input, okay? Now, what I'm going to be looking for here is if you've been out around in your part of the city or neighborhood or wherever you live, if you could post what the majority of the lawn signs are that you've seen, if they're more majority Liberal, majority Conservative, or NDP, probably not, and Greens, definitely not. But anyways, if you could post that in the chat and what area you live in of Canada, what city or whatever, what part. So, and then we're going to look at something from across Canada. Phil, Conservative. Emma, haven't seen one Lib lawn sign in your area. Good. This is what I'm looking for, just wondering what's going on out there across the country. I've seen a lot of Liberal signs here in Fredericton, in one area, in the Sunshine Garden area. It's a bunch of yuppies that all think alike. Mr. Magoo, Conservative, I think that's Edmonton. Stewart, Southern Ontario Liberal. Mr. Walleye, twice as many Conservative. Good to see. Mr. Walleye, I think you're in Ontario, aren't you? I'm guessing. Sharp, you haven't seen any lawn signs. East Central Saskatchewan. Fay, Conservatives here, Feds and Provincial. Okay. Okay. Fay stealing signs, Conservative signs in Ottawa. Yeah, they're doing it in more places than that too. Okay. So now, this is something I came across. Marie, only one Liberal sign for 10 Conservatives. Stormont, Dundas, Glengarry. I seen between Toronto and Kingston, okay. Mr. Walleye, I see, well, it'll come up here anyways. I came across this on the X platform. The guy posted this. This is what kind of got me going here. Got me thinking. Sometimes it takes something like that to get me thinking. Okay. I'll wait till this comes up. And he says, what I've noticed driving around, no Liberal lawn signs in my town, only CPC lawn signs and growing collection. Where's that support they keep talking about? How about near you? Okay, so these are the replies that come back. University Rosedale. Obviously more Freeland here, but not by much. Surprised how many Liz grade signs are all over the riding. For context, there are usually barely any blue signs here, only red, orange, and green. Let's bring it home. Katrina McLean. I live in a place that's filled with academics who lean so far left they can't stand up straight. This results in their brains falling out, so there's no hope here. We are alone in a desert of dolts. Trevor Boland, my entire city is only Bob Zimmer, MP. Signs everywhere you look, not a single other sign, and we have a full slate. Oz, I'm going to ask again, what is wrong with people over 65 supporting this liberal corruption and massive debt? Tell me again why Carney is different. All the same crooked Liberal MPs at his side, billions of taxpayers' dollars stolen by the Liberal MPs, and over 65 is complete sold on what? Not everybody, but there seems to be a percentage that's getting that reputation. I am that I am. It's a media polling construct meant to create cover for their rigged election. We saw the same thing south of the border after they replaced Biden. Karen, a conservative Karen that is. I forgot to mention, not just my riding, but in a friend's riding in GTA, I couldn't find a single Liberal lawn sign. It's becoming harder and harder to believe these polls at all. Mississauga alerts. Liberals put up large signs on properties without permission. They were taken down. Gord Shank. Ditto here in Jagmeet's riding. In my immediate area of Burnaby Central, 1 Jagmeet sign, 20 Conservative signs, and 0 Liberal or Green signs. Yeehaw. Marcus Brody. And what to do? The so-called polls say for your electoral district. Dia Miller, around here, once the lib signs went up, the destruction and removal of CPC started. They remove or deface the CP signs where we're at. A lot of that going on, I believe. Barry B., our neighbor has a Liberal sign. We never realized that he has shite for brains. Canadian Patriot. Conservative signs everywhere. Can't keep up with the demand, and I see the inside of Liberal candidates' offices are filled with signs and nobody wants. Nomad 2059. Liberals are confident that they're getting a large majority. That's what I keep getting told by my friends and family that think I'm a horrible person because I'm conservative. A lonely gay conservative in Toronto Centre. Ian Briggs, I'm guessing you live in a conservative riding. That's Gen Xer he's commenting to. He says it wasn't typically, and pre-Trudeau, I would have been considered a centrist. Stashiv, Nova Scotia, haven't seen a single Liberal sign. Jimmy Jack Joe, I'm in a NDP stronghold in BC. 50 Con, 50 NDP. I've seen maybe 10 red Liberal signs on front lawns. Val from Canada, I'm in Nova Scotia and it's mostly Liberal signs. However, our riding is usually a Conservative stronghold, so I don't even think our CPC MP is trying. Ryan Farrell, nobody has a Lib sign on their lawn. They only appear on public boulevards. I'd like to see our country ban signs from the public boulevards, to be honest. I've noticed that here too. A lot of the Liberal signs are out on the public boulevards. They're not lawn signs, except for that one neighborhood I mentioned, the old yuppie neighborhood. Michelle, LA. I saw a few today, but no NDP or Green, mostly Conservative. Andrew McNeil. I was absolutely blown away by an NDP sign in my neighborhood of northern Alberta. The Fringe Farmer. In rural communities, it's all CPC. In the cities of Ontario, it's majority Liberal signs. The Liberals could win a majority with seats in major cities in Ontario and Quebec alone, and they only have to displace the NDP and block votes. That's a concern, that's for sure. Linda Hill, exactly the same, and I'm in the Toronto area. I don't even think Liberals own signs. So that's from the Toronto area. Heart Space. Last I heard, our Liberal candidate is now in Calgary, and we're the only area with no Liberal candidate in Canada. I used to see a few NDP signs around here, but not this time. But it doesn't matter. The entire province of Alberta can vote Conservative and we'll still get a Liberal federal government. Unfortunately, yes. The East has to buck up and kick these Liberals to the curb. Paper bag patriot. I've only seen CPC signs and one NDP, but I live and drive around in deep blue country. We might have a referendum on secession if Carney steals the country from us on April 28th. I can see that coming up. Old school Canadian. Same thing in my city. One brave NDP sign and the rest are Conservative. I haven't seen a single Liberal sign anywhere. McGarnagle. In Peterborough, there's just a sea of Liberal signs that I've seen. It's scary. They voted in a Conservative last election. John Smith. Went to visit my mom. She lives in a very brown area of Mississauga. All Liberal signs, not one PC. Charity Adams. I live in a small town in southwestern Ontario, and I'm actually appalled at the number of Liberal signs. Everyone that works in my office is also a Liberal supporter. It's very frustrating that they will not listen to logic. You can always tell a Liberal, you just can't tell them much. They're charity. Silverback. I noticed the same. I actually made a point to drive through town, different routes to see. I honestly only counted 3 Liberal signs, the rest Conservative. Gringo, BJJ, it's the GTA 905 van in Montreal. These areas have a lot of seats. These areas heavily lean Liberal. These areas alone give them a minority government. Atlantic Canada usually puts them into a majority. Unfortunately, that is true, and I'm quite disgusted with the amount of Liberals here. Oh, and there's a nice picture of Carney. What do you mean you're not believing my fake polls? Is that he's got that stare, eh? Like he's trying to intimidate somebody. How dare you ask me a question like that? I'll get you. Diane, I'm just north of Peterborough and mostly red signs. We need to move. Yeah. Irritating one. In Ottawa, Orleans to be exact, they're basically tit for tat, side by side, Liberal next to a CPC sign. The thing that's most noticeable is the sudden patriotism with showing of flags. Dollar store flags made in China, mind you, LOL. I thought showing patriotism was verboten because of so many mega Republicans fly their American flags everywhere. You know, Orange Man bad. I guess not now. No, it's funny how they just want to steal everything from us, don't they? Dutch Tulip, my neighbor is usually a Liberal. No sign this year. He's probably still a Liberal, just ashamed to put a sign out there, Dutch. Tyler McGee, same in the country of Brant, mostly re-elect Larry Brock signs. A couple of Liberals is all I've seen, and none of the other parties. A Erickson, a single tiny Liberal sign in this area. Our Conservative candidate is also our MP of many years, and we hope that she stays that way. Unacceptable Tanya. I'm in Guelph and volunteering for the CPCs, putting up lawn signs. We're a Lib Green city, and the CPC signs are about 40 to 50% of the total, depending on the area. Caper J, same here, and I live in a once Liberal boomer stronghold. I'm guessing Caper J is probably from Cape Breton, and that is a Liberal stronghold. So now it sounds like the Conservatives are rocking and rolling in Cape Breton. That would be good to see. Terpenes, way too many in central Toronto. Retardia. Zarko Budisavljic, East Oakville, 50-50. TM, there are unfortunately more Liberal signs popping up in my neighborhood. Libs keep saying Carney is successful banker. That's the tagline they always use. It's so sad. They have no idea about anything. I ask them if they know what Carney has done. They don't even want discussion. Same with the Liberals I run into, and I just don't even bother because, like I say, you can always tell a Liberal. You just can't tell them much. They just won't listen. Why is the government of China actively promoting Carney? Yeah. That doesn't seem to bother anybody, does it? Sean Pearson, glad to hear this. There's a scary amount of Liberal signs around Dartmouth Cole Harbour. Probably from old people who are voting the way they always have without bothering to do some research and probably haven't left their home except to buy groceries in 15 years. Raz Grizz D7. I've got Liberals up the street. They're over 65. Never talked to them. Probably not going to either. K-Bird. Unfortunately, there are an equal number of red signs to blue signs in my neighborhood. I think it's still a good sign because there were very few blue signs in the last federal election. Some people are now awake. Yeah, but the last federal election, no wonder. They stuck a Liberal in there. Ray, we got a lot of blue signs up in Carney's riding. I've heard that, and it's amazing because they're tearing them down, throwing them away, and sticking Liberal signs up instead. That's probably on the out in the mediums and stuff, wherever on government property. Jonathan Hipkiss, I see way too many Liberal signs on lawns. Platinum Sniper, only CPC signs here, and big ones. We don't know where they are, though. We don't know what city or what province. Susie's got one Liberal sign that the wind blew out. Francis Auger, me, myself, and I. There are a lot of blue Conservative signs in my neighborhood. Haven't seen a red Liberal or orange NDP sign. Big change from the last federal election. People know that this is an important election. Fringe member 2. Canada. I saw my first Liberal yard sign in my neighborhood. I instantly thought, who the F lives there? Mongolian Navy says a lot of them. I'm not saying every one of them. For example, boomers. Liberal supporters cannot afford a home with lawn, condos, and apartments. I'm not sure what he means by that. A lot of. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Carney signs here in his riding. So you see that's in Nepean. So there was a lot of Conservative and a lot of Carney, but I say they're tearing the signs down. The Conservative woman's losing her signs and sticking the Carney signs up. So that's really, you know. Michelle Roy. The Liberal volunteers are playing dirty tricks in my area where they'll see a Conservative sign and then put up a whole bunch of Liberal signs around it to try and cover it. And often they break the Conservative sign and have it laying in pieces on the ground. Zodcast. Too many teachers, activists around here, libtards everywhere. Yeah, the education system has gone all to hell. These teachers are so far left. Faz Moments, sir. I've seen 3 Liberal signs and 1 NDP and hundreds of CPC. Good, depending on what riding. Yeah. Yeah. Constructing Christian. He, him, his. More red than blue here, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I honestly hope that PP51 loses bad enough that he quits politics altogether. There's a Liberal for you right there. There's their mentality. That's showing some serious TDS, Stockholm Syndrome, retardedness. You're showing off. Ever thought of doing your own research? Turn the MSM off for a moment. Try removing head from arse. Lisa Fig. Still lots of liberal signs around me in Kingston. A couple of conservative ones have popped out, though. There's one coming up here for you, Faye. Scuba Girl. Whatever you do, don't come to Niagara-on-the-Lake. Red signs as far as the eye can see. That's Southern Ontario. That's not good. That's, ew, yeah, that's horrible. Yuck. Oh, don't worry, it won't go there. Brandon Kokoski, because liberals don't do lawn signs, they do anon tweets and virtue signals from Mom's basement. Here you go, Faye. Real centrist. I was in Cornwall area yesterday. 12 conservative signs for every liberal sign. Jerry Can Dan. I'm a volunteer putting up signs in my area, and I'm going to be real honest. I've only seen 2 signs in my entire riding. Gorilla Gus. Street gangs have been targeting homes with liberal signs for home invasions. They know the owners don't have guns to protect themselves. Pretty soon nobody will have any, buddy, if Carney gets in. Well, nobody will admit they got any. Jenny says, I've asked 5 people who they are voting. All 5 said liberal. One is a former conservative. I asked why, and all answers were the exact same. Pierre is too Trumpy, and they like how Carney is dealing with the USA. I asked the conservative why, when you guys have been complaining about the last 10 years, their answer, I don't care about that anymore. We're under threat. I'm not a liberal, so don't get mad or swear at me. See, that's the thing, eh? They're totally they're playing the Trump card. Trump is not doing anything wrong. The only thing Trump did wrong, as far as I'm concerned, he shouldn't have, his rhetoric, he shouldn't have started that, shot them right to the top, because the people in Canada, so many have TDS, it's amazing and horrible. I know it wasn't intentional with Trump, he was just saying what he wanted to say, but it just backfired, that's all. Mississauga alerts. Liberals putting signs in illegal places. They were taken down. They put up digital ads before they were permitted to. Scum liberals. They're so bad in Mississauga. They are caught in so many ways and are being investigated. Independent. Not a lot of signs in general, but more liberal ones in nearby wealthier neighborhoods. Yeah, those with money don't care about poverty, do they? Funny how that works. And they all sit around on their decks and stuff and suck up all liberal talk. That's what they do with drinking their wine, get drunk and say how good liberals are. Except there's an illegal escalator tax on booze that Trudeau put on, so it goes up every year. That's taxation without representation. The Americans on here can relate to that and how that worked out for them. Garbage, Dr. Doug Bursey, MD, ROSO, RSO. Same in Newfoundland. Private property has conservative signs, mostly only libs on public land. That's different for Newfoundland, but we don't know what area. DM Porters, believe your eyes, not the polls or the media. When all this is all over and hopefully it goes conservative, there will be some serious changes needed, especially to those who have influence over others. You know it, DM. There is going to be major changes if that's... if they get in with a majority. Majestic Rebel, we are roughly 2 weeks out from the election, and I've only seen 1 lawn sign in Edmonton in my neighborhood. Many people are scared to state their political stance like in the past. Are the polls any different? That's a good question. CUTA-ACTU. Oh, that's a public transit ad, sorry. Mitchell Claypool. Are you on Vancouver Island? I see the same thing mid-island around the Nanaimo. Counted 13-1 on my drive today. It sounds like the island's going conservative. Old School Liz, Brantford, 98% re-elect Larry Brock signs everywhere. I have seen less than 8 Liberal signs, 1 NDP and 1 Green. Canada's becoming communist. My town has lots of CPC lawn signs in actual yards. All the Liberal ones are out on public property. Nana Canada. I live in Pierre's riding. I would say 3-1 Conservative to Liberal. Our riding borders Carney's riding. Took a drive through some neighborhoods there, and I would say 2-1 Conservative to Liberal. That said, the majority of homes do not have signs. I'd say they're leaning conservative if they don't have the signs. Now, I mean, it's Carney's riding. If they're Liberals, they'd be proud Liberals and they'd be supporting Carney. If there's no sign, I would think that means they're probably going to be voting Conservative. Trina Largarita. I live in Bowness, Calgary. A lot of NDP signs. My CPC candidate is a loser, Jeremy Nixon, so I am volunteering door knocking for my MP from my old neighborhood, Michelle Rempel. Far right Carolyn, haven't seen a single red or orange sign in my area, just blue signs. CBC, Sunny D says CBC is 10-1 in my area easily. That could be Alberta though, or Saskatchewan. Henry CB, I live in Pierre's riding, and there are a lot more signs popping up now. The Liberal, Bruce Fanjoy, got his up early, so it looked weird for a while. I was in Orleans yesterday, Ottawa East, and it was a sea of red. Nutty people out there. That's Ottawa, of course. Matt Wood, where I live in Ontario, it's all blue signs with the odd red sign sighting. I think I've seen more green signs than red ones so far. Ed Fox says, I have seen a whole 2 Liberal signs and 1 green. Countless Conservative signs, but the riding I live in has been Conservative for over 20 years. Well, it's a pretty safe riding then. Darth, Canadian. I did see an elbows up banner in my neighbor's yard. Richard Weber. In Essex, Ontario, Chris Lewis signs, CPC, are 60 times those of the Liberal. I saw 6 Liberal signs in my drive to Kingsville and almost 250 Lewis signs. Stouffer Webster. Yeah, I don't see any in Oshawa, Cortus, barely any in Ajax 2 or Whitby. I'm assuming he means Liberals. Say no to communism. Yes, here in the Okanagan as well, I saw 2 signs for Libs yesterday. The rest are Conservative. Ungovernable Albertan. I get the impression my town doesn't give a crap about the election, or they're just keeping opinions under wraps. I'm the only one in my area with a sign. See Marco, I'm in South Calgary, which is typically Conservative for the most part, and a few NDP and Liberals, but I haven't seen 1 orange or a red sign as of yet. This is April 12th. These comments are just from yesterday. Small odontological. I don't know about the sign situation, but someone I know in Western Newfoundland involved in a local campaign going door to door, sounds like most, if not all, visited are leaning Conservative. Take that for what it's worth. Come on, Newfoundland. Danielle, in my city, I have seen many NDP, some green, and many large Conservative signs. I think I have only seen 1 Liberal sign. CP, Canadian Pilot. We saw 1 on the other side of the city, and it was a super small one on a generic strip of city property, like that was it. And we were all over putting up Conservative ones. A few NDP, but blue, blue, blue. The Way of Harmony, it says, I've only seen the rare occasional Liberal sign. Did they just not hand out signs, or are they broke? High Brush. You say no Liberal signs, but then say the CPC signs are everywhere. Which is it? I don't get that one. And that would be my reply right there, too. Lexi Mom, Alberta, 57 blue signs in my neighborhood and 2 orange and 1 red. Yep, I counted. 57 blue, 2 orange, and 1 red. Of course, that's Alberta too. Mike says, there's a Liberal sign on my lawn and several others on my street. CPC going to lose big. I live in Poilievre's riding. I'd love to see him lose. Don't think so, Mike. I don't think that's going to happen, man. Statistics in BC do not comply. Sadly, there are 3 red signs in my neighborhood in a strong NDP riding. Only 1 CPC sign so far. Comic books, I'm the solitary blue sign in a sea of red. Peggy Plonka, in our area there are a few signs in the residential area, and those that are up are blue. Some orange along main roads. In my daughter's area, a few miles away, there is a mix of red and orange with only a few blue. I'm actually surprised at the lack of signs in my area. Natasha Wagner, I live in a conservative area with a military base next to us, and all I see are Liberal signs. Myself and a few others are the only CPC lawn signs I'm seeing, hoping more will go up soon. Carly Manning, unfortunately, lots of red signs in my town. Elsa, my town is basically a sea of red. It's nauseating and hard to believe. John Wilton, signs don't vote, people do. Good point, John. Fahar Khan, 4 Liberal voters in my house, 0 signs on our lawn. Well, Fahar Khan, I'm not surprised. And, oh, by the way, Fahar Khan, are they all legal? Mike Fagan, gentle reminder, rallies, polls, or lawn signs do not vote. Lim Jahe, 10-1 for Liberals in Kingston. CPC signs mostly on commercial properties, very few on residential properties. Liberals love their out-of-touch politicians. Mark Carney is just another rich that has no idea what he's like to struggle or whatever in Canada. Yeah. Lassie 55, mostly Liberal signs. Wow. Coco loves the Odyssey. I live in a red riding, but 2/3 of the signs are conservative, even in the boomer section of town. I think there's a lot of enthusiasm and energy behind the Conservatives. The Liberal voters I know are not excited or enthusiastic. They're just meh, whatever. Richard Weber says, I suspect those voting Liberal are not requesting signs for fear of reprisal from their neighbors. I don't know. I don't give them credit for being able to think out that much. Veronica Bancuti, take a breath, people. No poll, no outward appearance is any indication whatsoever of the final outcome. Never underestimate the silent majority. They will not advertise it. They will not respond to pollsters. They just quietly cast their vote. And if 2016 is any indication, many will be shocked. Okay. Okay, Veronica. Jay, same, a couple of big Liberal signs on public land, but private property, it's a sea of blue. Dave Hopper, I live in a commie area, only NDP and Liberal. Only saw about 60 out of 500 homes I drove around. Usually take the same route, but very few. I've noticed that too here. There's not a lot of signs on people's lawns. I'm the only conservative sign in this whole area. There's about 500 homes here. So I haven't looked through the whole area, neighborhood, but any of the main drags. ABC Co., quite a few Liberal signs in Guelph. I'm afraid this riding might be lost to the dark side. Please support Gerver for Guelph. He's an upstanding person working for the community, and he's on the right side of history. Kelly, I see a lot of green because people near Victoria are off their meds. Yeah, Victoria, the city of newlyweds and nearly deads, eh? That's where the greenies hang out. Velian, a lot of retards near me. Must be Liberals. Could be Greens or NDP though too, I guess. JG, my ultimate place. Only one posted illegally on public property. Boy, there's a lot of comments on here, eh? Hooplehead. Not a Liberal sign in Alberta, but it doesn't matter because Ontario picks the Prime Minister. Hope it is a Liberal majority. Carney, Wexit. Yeah, right. I see what he's saying, but this one here again, Smilodontological in southeast Calgary neighborhood. It's all blue signs, no surprise, but occasionally with a little spray paint vandalism on them. And in one case on an American flag that was flying next to a Canadian one. Sad, pathetic, great showcase of what we're up against. Keep it up, idiots. Yeah, that's a problem, eh? They're Liberals are idiots, and the NDP are worse. But when the NDP idiots can't get enough votes, they slide over to the Liberal idiots. Sheila J. in my neighborhood is block signs, but honestly, I haven't noticed many signs in general in Montreal, though I'm sure there must be. Steve Clark, most people I know who are not lawn sign level committed have equated Poilievre with Trump. That and poly market odds have me concerned. I don't know a single person who cares about the nation's debt. These people are so brainwashed against President Trump. Why don't they look at Ottawa instead of Washington, D.C.? These people are idiots. It's like there's a carrot being dangled in front of them and they're just chasing it, and Carney's holding the carrot. Daughter, in BC, traditionally an NDP riding, but no real signs at all. We have a CPC sign. Some diehards still from the Cove have their PPC signs out. No Liberal signs seen yet. Bonnie Dietrich, my riding has not had a Conservative for over 100 years, and it is a sea of blue out there. I think we're going to take it. Well, that's good to know. Reg Peterson, all CPC signs here. No country for old women. Never a Liberal fan, but the small orange signs next to the huge constructed of 2 pieces of plywood re-elect MRG signs are either knocked down and thrown 10 meters away or damaged. Not sure who MRG is. Why lie? Love fights. I just took down my Conservative lawn sign because Pierre Poilievre promised to vigorously continue the shedding of innocent blood in the legalized act of murder by abortion. Jeff Cammie, Corner Brook, Newfoundland, and I can tell you now, if this election is free and fair, that Carol Anstey of the CPC will win Long Range Mountains in a landslide. Wow, there's 3 in Newfoundland, different areas too, I believe. Joshua Gamonat, I haven't even seen one in my daily life. The Based Company, same. There aren't many signs up at all, actually, but every single one of them is blue. Scott Carpenter, same here. No red anywhere. Lots of CPC and a little NDP. Nate, Mid-Vancouver Island is a bit of a mix, but the majority of what I've seen are blue. Toronto Dave, quite a few Liberal signs, and a number of Liberal signs go up as I drive into areas where houses are bigger and worth more. Yeah, those with the money will vote for the con artists. Kadam Forest, relentless. Haven't seen anything yet on private property around my small town yet, but classical, a Conservative seat town, so what it means, I don't know. Alex K., I'm in northern GTA. I only see Liberal signs on intersections, CPC as well, but lawns in Richmond Hill, Aurora, Newmarket, Woodbridge, Stouffville, Vaughan are 80 to 90% CPC. Wow. Polls and election are being rigged. Nowhere. Our Liberal candidate has volunteers knocking doors. Our house was knocked by an old fellow who was shocked when I shook my head and said no thank you and proceeded to close the door. Like, buddy, I have kids to think about. Later, I see she is having her signs planted on random properties. I don't trust the signs here now either, but no one else has door knocked us. I had the communists knocking on my door, wanting me to sign something so they could run in the election. I told them no, and they kept pushing it, and I closed the door, and I looked through the window. He's still standing there talking at me through the window. I said, "Didn't you see the lawn sign?" "Yeah." Coldstream. There are more liberal signs than CPC signs in my reading thus far. That being said, there were vastly more liberal signs than PC signs in the run-up to the provincial election here in Nova Scotia last fall. My riding was that of the leader of the Liberal Party, and he lost his seat. Willis says 10-1, blue to red, no orange on anyone's lawn. I wish they would say where they were from, though. Could be a lot from Alberta, maybe, or Saskatchewan, or northern BC, or the interior. Shane Wenzel, I haven't seen more than 3 in my travels, and we don't know what that means. That must be Liberal. Andrew Nielsen, about the same in interior BC. Liberal signs are by the roads only. Kevin in Canada, same, but I live in one of the safest CPC ridings in the country. It's always that way. Brad, wildlife photographer. I'm on Vancouver Island in the Nanaimo Ladysmith riding. No liberal signs in Nanaimo, just conservative, NDP, or green. Apparently lots of conservative signs in Ladysmith. I have a feeling this riding is going blue. This is a traditional NDP or green riding. Wow. And Libby, same in our town. Yeah, okay, dude. Barhaven, Ottawa, almost all blue. Laura Angelesca. I've seen one liberal sign on a few houses down from me. I asked for a conservative sign, but no contact as yet. I don't really have a good place to put it anyways. My yard faces an alley. Okay, I'll call them soon. Travel Bug 71, same. Meme Minders. I'm in BC, only conservative signs and a few PPC. This is a liberal riding. I saw one person walking up and down a block half-heartedly waving a green sign. Gotta save the planet, bring back the carbon tax. Gotta represent Polyev 2025. Barking digits, same. DD, where are you driving through? Coignacer, same, exact same here. Tons of gong signs, it's Moses. Amanda McBitch, I actually see a decent amount of PPC signs in my riding. My guy is great. He doesn't stop. He's out constantly. I'm happy he's in my riding. I volunteer for him as much as I can. There are still some uniparty signs, but we are very close to on par with him here. I love it. Well, good for you. Hydroponics, they don't own houses. Greg, most people don't bother with lawn signs. Only sheep want to be branded. I don't consider myself sheep there, Greg, but Cheryl, Alberta Proud and Free, liberal only on the public land, none on private yards, just CPC signs and one lone green sign in my neighborhood. Andy English, no liberal or NDP signs in our riding yet. It's weird. Wow, there's no end to these comments. Travel, I live in central Alberta. You can imagine what the streets look like here, LOL. I can imagine it is as blue as it could ever get. Sassy, not as many lawn signs in general, but I'd say 70 to 80% conservative in my city. Yesterday I had the chance to drive through 5 different ridings just north of Toronto, and I would say about 60 to 70% conservative signs. And several of those ridings were liberal last time. Well, God bless you, Sassy. That's great information. Conservative Gen X voting to save Canada for my kids and grandkids. Worker of lead. Sounds like a plumber to me. I'm in Hamilton Centre. Never seen so much blue in my 35 years here. It's 50-50 with the NDP. Ashley, about 5 liberal signs in Calgary that I saw today in my travels. Lots more blue, though, across several ridings. Snowblower, 80% conservative lawn signs in my Eastern Ontario locale. Miss Cleo, Pierre Polyev for PM. My running route around my neighborhood is mostly Polyev signs with a Carney sign here and there mixed in. It's literally a sea of blue. Grandma Heather, I'm in Port Hope, Ontario. In our subdivision, it's all liberal signs, and she's got an angry face. I don't blame her. Where's that? Are you in Kamloops? I noticed it too. I've seen 2 signs other than CPC, 1 PPC and 1 NDP. No Liberal. Melissa Skinner, London area, Huron, Perth and Bruce County, southwestern part of Ontario, pretty much blue. Good. Canada's doomed. Drove through Quebec. There are Liberal and Bloc signs everywhere. The CPC ones pop up here and there but disappear pretty quickly. Burn wood fuel. The only signs I've seen are CPC. I did see 1 PPC, but it was on the roadway, not a residence. I live in a conservative area, but still 0 effort from anyone else. T. They have the city immigrant vote. They don't have yards. They are paid by Liberals. Jeffrey, Carney equals Harris. That's what we're thinking. Ken, Canada, same in the neighborhood, my neighborhood. Many blue signs are up and only a few red ones. Ratio is approximately 10-2. Zinkendi, my neighborhood is blue. Free Canada. Jackie Jacob, I see both but more blue signs because I'm in an area where there are always more blue signs. James Howard, more CPC lawn signs than usual. Not many other types of lawn signs, a few here and there. An even amount of road signs for everybody in Vancouver Island. Lord William Davidson, same in my area of Ontario. Rob Nunn, almost all Liberal in my neighborhood. There's Sassy again. My friend's lawn. Freeland is her neighbor, must drive by this sign every day. In Freeland's neighborhood, there's a surge of conservative lawn signs like never before. Don't believe the polls, believe the lawn signs. Sure will. We're noticing 3-1 in Moncton, New Brunswick. Casper, 358. I only see blue signs in my town. The lucky investor. I was in Kearney's riding yesterday and saw a lot more signs for Barbara Ball than I did Kearney. In Poilievre's riding, I'm seeing almost no signs, period. Kerry, definitely way more CPC in my neighborhood as well. Karen Rose, I see CPC around my community too. Calca none, same here in Barrie, Ontario. Scorched Earth, same, and I'm in Ottawa. Tony Major here too. Mr. Chester, I don't have a sign. I'm voting Kearney. I don't blame you for not having a sign, Mr. Chester. Danger Ranger, I've not seen any NDP in my town yet. Mostly CPC and less Liberal than normal. Senior female, CPC, Canada First, CPC, supermajority. Methinks the lawn signs are the polls. Noah, the same. Farm mom. Hubby and I drove for 3 hours yesterday. Rural back roads and through the towns that are around us. CPC signs were like 30-1 with Libs. Not one green sign and only a handful of NDP. Jen Rizzo, signs on people's lawn mean nothing if they don't go and vote. I think the people with the lawn signs are voters. Maple Fir 001, or Brenda P. Definitely seeing more CPC than Liberal signs out here. East of you as well. I'm hoping there's a chance. North Lucky Town, maybe look at the voter demographics. Billy, I live in BC. I see the same thing. 90% conservative signs around town. Brian, I've noticed at least 5 blue signs to every 1 red one. What we're told in MSM and what I see are very different things. The polls are fake with the sole purpose to shape the sheep. Darlene, more blue than red. And that, folks, is it. We made it through them all. So, what is your impression after going through all those comments? You know, it seems to me that the blue is getting pretty good showing, except in, of course, Toronto itself, which is it's pretty hard to break into that, crack that nut. Uh, Quebec, we don't know. I hope they stop voting Liberal, and they're not going to vote Conservative. You might get the odd one, but I wish they'd go back to the Bloc. So uh, we'll see. Uh, so anyways, I guess you people have had some door knockers, it looks like. And I don't have door knockers because I have a conservative lawn sign, so they're not going to come knocking on my door. The Liberals are, I guess there is an NDP running here and a Green, which is not going anywheres. Maybe those two communists that were around I doubt if they're going to get enough votes because they said they only had 2 signatures on the paper. So I kind of, the 2 signatures, I don't think you can get on the ballot. You'd have to be wrote in anyways, but that ain't going to happen. So that was a lot of, just a look anyways at what's going on there. Let's see what else I had here. I got this today in my email, and it's, oh great. I guess it expired on me. I'll see if I can bring it up. It's from Super Scooper, Sam Cooper. I don't know if anybody got that email today or not. It's really hard to read this online with the censorship on YouTube. But I'm going to try to read through a little bit of this. Let's see if I can get through it. Exclusive, and CSIS told us we were get sick from the military games that they had over in the crazy country there, the communist country over, you know what I mean, right? So before I get into this, 2019, one of my aunt's birthday, she's deceased now, and I don't know if it's because of the poke or not, you know, but anyways, because she had all of them boosted and everything, right? And she went downhill quick. Can't really say for sure, but it's a little bit suspicious. Anyways, at her birthday party, and my oldest sister was there, and there was quite a few people there, but very close to the military base. And when after that, she said, well, when I got there, she was sick, and she'd let us all come to her birthday party, and now I've never been so sick. It's the worst flu I've ever had. That was 2019. I thought, wait, okay, that sounds bad, right? You know, it's the worst you ever had. She said she's never been so sick. Wow, that was 2019. Well, the soldiers were sick too, because you know why? They were over at the military games in the Wuhan city, and militaries from around the world were there, and they come back and they were sick. Well, just shortly after that, wasn't it? This stuff started trying to get around. People started not feeling real good, right? So I figured she already had it before, and then she ended up getting shots. So I figured they already had it. It was here, and I think it was part of a commie plot. Something like Karl Marx's grave, they call that a commie plot too, but this is a different type of commie plot. Getting it around, getting it around the world. And Sam Cooper, he says, actually this is let out as an exclusive from CSIS. So this is coming right from CSIS. A CAF member has come forward with explosive testimony that Canadian intelligence agents assessed soldiers who were sick at the 2019 games. But the findings were buried in Ottawa. Strange. Why would they do that? I was in Wuhan in the fall of 2019 at the World Military Games. A significant number of the team and myself contracted the bug and became very, very ill. But that statement delivered in confidential testimony to the Bureau, that's Sam Cooper's outfit, a Canadian Armed Forces member added his voice to one of the most powerful emerging revelations in the global search for the origins of that bug. His account closely matches the U.S. Department of Defense's newly declassified conclusion that 7 American soldiers fell ill with the bug during the same October 2019 military competition. The American military investigation was ordered by Congress in 2021, but kept from the public until a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit forced its release. Critics now say the Biden administration suppressed the findings, which suggest U.S. intelligence agencies had early evidence of an outbreak tied to the games. Canadian soldier believes voters deserve to know that CSIS, Ottawa's civilian intelligence agency, also assessed that Canadian military athletes were infected and that the Trudeau government chose not to inform the public. Yes, CSIS and a number of other organizations did interview members of the contingent, he said, of his experience upon returning to Canada. They were very professional and concerned only with the facts, but when completing their interviews, they let it be known that their work and report would be suppressed. The Bureau has independently confirmed through multiple confidential interviews that Canadian intelligence did in fact interview military athletes, concluded they had experienced the bug. The story of U.S. athletes becoming very sick while at those games or shortly after, returning an institutional cover-up since, and it mirrors exactly what Canadian Forces athletes experienced, the CAF member explained. His testimony now stands alongside a torrent of new disclosures, including a bombshell release from the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency that together appear to draw a new, starker picture of what happened and how it may be linked to dangerous Canadian research. The DIA documents made public only after a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit by U.S. Right to Know include a 46-slide classified briefing dated June 25, 2020. It includes that the bug is most consistent with a lab-engineered bug created at the Bug Institute, likely under the direction of Dr. Shi Zhengli. In chronology, the DIA report focuses on a 2008 study co-authored by Dr. Shi, which showed that the bat bugs could be altered to infect humans. The study described how swapping small pieces of the bug allowed it to attach to the human receptors. This work laid the foundation for later experiments in the lab that involved creating new hybrid bugs. From 2011 and 2015, Dr. Shi's team conducted a sweeping field of study in that province, in that country, over there, where they collected over 600 samples from multiple bats living in caves and forested regions. The bugs were brought back to the lab and stored at the Institute, forming the core of a growing bug research bank. Shi's team engineered a full copy of the bug called WI, a clone developed between 2015 and 2017, then swapped in a few little spike things and some bat bugs, and creating an entirely new bug According to U.S. intelligence analysts, this was one of the key human-made modifications that allowed the bug to be more effectively bind to humans, marking a potential step toward weaponizing the bug. During this time, 2015 to 27 window, Chinese scientists also began experimenting with dangerous bugs. They inserted a genetic feature known as a furin cleave site, another significant modification known to increase the bug's ability to infect humans. These modified bugs were tested both in lab dishes and in live animals. The experiments were conducted under safety conditions, which over there are less strict than in the U.S., according to U.S. military intelligence. Over there, those labs, they've documented history of leaks. In this process between 2017 and 2019, scientists at that lab over there likely created a new bug called a bat bug, using a secret bat bug genome. They continue building more versions by swapping in different bug parts, especially the pieces that help the bug bind to humans. These bugs were again tested in the lab and in animals throughout 2018 and 2019, just before the outbreak began. The final readable slide in the document concluded molecular biology capabilities assessment are consistent with the hypothesis that the bug was made over there, was part of a bank of them, and that it escaped from containment. By early 2020, when athletes around the world, including Canadian and U.S. soldiers, had already returned to their home countries with the bug, that institute over there and their government-controlled agencies began publishing studies promoting a natural origin for the bug, deflecting scrutiny from any lab. Then there's the Canadian-Chinese lab connection. What makes the Defense Intelligence Agency's timeline bombshell especially troubling for Canada is how closely it aligns with the Bureau's earlier reporting of Dr. Zhenguo Q. Dr. Q was now the expelled head of special pathogen at Canada's National Laboratory in Winnipeg. Canadian intelligence documents reviewed by the Bureau confirmed that Q had an active working relationship with Dr. Shi Zhengli at the lab over there and the People's Liberation Army beginning in 2017. Together they co-led research on a couple other synthetic bugs. Those are the ones that they shipped back over there. Deadly bugs. In a previous interview with the Bureau, Dr. David Asher said he could not reveal the classified intelligence his team reviewed. However, he made clear that the State Department investigators were deeply concerned that Beijing was using the Winnipeg establishment for military intelligence gathering weapons research, special type of weapons research, right? The institute over there wasn't just a government outfit creating novel bugs. It was and is a civil military fusion hub that had an intelligence operational collection mission ensconced in its web of nefarious activities. April 10th, Asher posted the newly released DIA report to social media, writing simply, "Read and weep." This document, or this article rather, is quite extensive. And there's a lot of stuff on here I can't even touch because they'll shut me down so fast you'll never hear from me again. They're still acting up like that, YouTube, right? They don't want anybody to say anything about anything. So I just thought I'd throw that out there that that's what's going on. Now the other thing here too, just a few minutes left here, Carney. If you haven't looked up C40 cities, C40 cities, you can look into that. That's one of the things that Carney is really struck on, right? these C40 cities. It's in his book, I believe, Values. I'm not sure. I haven't read it, and I have no intentions of reading it. We kind of got the guy figured out now anyways, but I was watching Jordan Peterson today, and he had mentioned that, and I thought, I'm going to check that out. You know, that C40 cities. And that is, where's that from? What outfit does that? I think it is part of, where is it? It's a climate action plan, right? And it's got all, there's, well, they got 97, or is it 197? I'd have to look at these numbers. I think it was 197, not 97. They have an interactive map. They have on all the continents, of course. Anyways, I think it's 197 cities. It's not 97. There's 3, 8, 10, 20, 30, 40. Well, maybe it is 97. It's still a lot. Don't see any in Russia. No, every other pretty much around the world has got them, but no, Putin's not putting up any of that crap. He's, no, we're not joining those C40 cities. Forget that. So that tells you something, doesn't it? All these other clowns are signing up their citizens without the citizens knowing about it. That's not freedom. This is what the Liberals are doing here, and this is what Carney's up to. So look up the C40 cities. I'll show you the page while I'm right here, okay? So you can see what I'm talking about. That's it there. Right? Jobs for future, resources for youth. These are all these cities. In Canada, it's Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver are the 3 that have signed up here. So 97 member cities, that's what it is. Making up more than 22% of the global economy. So if you want to look that up, there's some little stuff in there that you might, tidbits of stuff that you can see. You notice there's solar panels and bicycles, right, and a bus. There's no trucks, there's no cars, you don't see any of that. You just see a bicycle and a solar panel and a bus. So you can take it from there and read that and weep. This is part of Carney's game. So folks, we've got lawn signs. There's a lot of blue ones. We got Carney and his C40 cities, and we got his Lynn. There's a lot in the U.S., Lynn. There's a lot of cities in the U.S. signed up to this. The interactive map, you'll see them. So, anyways, we'll do this again here next week. We're heavy into our election campaign. Maybe Carney's going to come out of hiding sometime, and he's going to try to spread some BS around. He's spreading fear about Donald Trump. That Donald Trump, he's coming for us. He's going to get us, but I'm going to stand up for you Canadians, my fellow Canadians. I came back after 10 years to come drop in here and just to help you out, eh? Yeah, I'm just the savior that you've been waiting for, and I'm busy right now being prime minister, but I'm gonna, beat those conservatives, and I'm gonna attack Trump. I don't know what he's gonna do or what he's gonna say, but it's It's going to be a bunch of garbage, you know that. And the media is going to think, oh, he's so great. So, and that Pierre's so bad, he won't take questions from us. Well, no wonder they keep saying, how come you haven't got your security clearance? You know, the stupidest questions have been answered I don't know how many times, and that's all they got. So, anyways, hope you all have a great week. Thanks so much. So, to being here, Phil, I'm going to be here next Sunday. Yeah, you bet. Yeah, I know it's Easter Sunday, but yep. And Nick, you're a little late, but anyways, thanks for dropping by. So, like I say, take care. Good luck trying to help break any liberals. They're just impossible. If they can't see the truth by now, they're beyond hope. So, we just got to write them off. Try not to be too hard on them. They can't help it. They just don't have the capability to think for themselves. They let the media do the thinking for them. So that's their problem. We got to deal with it. So I will say goodbye for now and have a wonderful week out there, and we'll do it again next week. Take care. Never take the path of least resistance. God bless.